to another edition of Talking About Movies. I'm Joe Moser.
And I'm Rick Winston.
And today we're going to be talking about contemporary Irish cinema, which is kind of a passion of Rick's and mine. But first, we have a couple topical things we wanted to discuss. First of all, the Green Mountain Film Festival. So Rick and his wife Andrea played a very prominent part in founding the festival, but also they were central to a very beautiful event we had, which was a celebration of 25 years of GMFF, and they spoke at the event. And also Rick presented the original Godzilla, which was a highlight.
Yeah, Pai van Lukeman, who is the executive director of the festival, she asked me about ideas for 25 years. I personally had stopped counting, and because of the pandemic, the whole count was off anyway. But said, okay, this is the 25th year. Well, how about something that really did well at one of the festivals? And the first thing that came to mind was the original Godzilla, or Gojira, as its fans like to call it.
Yeah, and Rick presented some great context for the film, and that film really brought in a kind of different demographic. So there was this festival, I think a real strength was there's something for everyone. We had two wonderful animated films on the morning, on Saturday and Sunday of the festival. We had Arco, and we had a not very well-known film called My Life in Versailles, both French films. I brought my children. They really enjoyed it. Great. And then another highlight was the Ozu Diaries.
Yes. Yeah, this was a 2-hour documentary done by an American, Daniel Rame, I think his name was, and it was a chronological trip through the works of Yasujiro Ozu, one of the great Japanese directors who is not known in the U.S. until right after he died. There was nowhere to find out about his films or see them. But now he is considered one of the great Japanese directors.
Yeah, Tokyo Story is many regard it as his masterpiece, but he has many other great films. But Tokyo Story is pretty consistently ranked among the top films of all time by Sight and Sound, among others.
Yeah, so this was a real eye-opener for me, a lot about Ozu's personal life that I had no idea about, and there were tributes to him from people like Wim Wenders, the director, and then we were talking about this, the actors who are in his films, looking back from a period of 30, 40, 50 years, what it was like to act for him.
Yeah, those were beautiful tributes from those actors. And another highlight of the festival for me was a Swiss-German film called Late Shift, about a nurse.
I did get to see that. Yes, that was excellent.
Yeah, played by Leonie Benish, wonderful
young
actor.
And it's one of these movies almost in real time, and it is so gripping. You find yourself just holding your breath for a good part of it.
Yeah, and it shows that even in another wealthy country like Switzerland, their healthcare system is in crisis, just like ours is. Yeah. So. We also, any thoughts on the Oscars? We just had the Oscars, Rick.
Well, yeah, I don't pay that much attention to the Oscars to hold over from the days at the Savoy when we wound up cursing the Oscars every January and February. The troubles with distributors who wanted to, no, you can't show it now. Yes, you have to show it now, all that stuff. So I only saw just a fraction of the movies that were up, and so really nothing quite to contribute, except it's really nice to see Paul Thomas Anderson getting honored after all these years.
Absolutely. He had been 0 for all his nominations, and then he won not one, not two, but 3 Oscars. So yeah, I agree. Rick, I know you have mixed feelings about One Battle After Another. I really loved it. It blew me away. And I love Sinners. So I was really happy to see both of those films be recognized. And my disappointment, though, was in the Best International Feature category. sentimental value won, and I think either The Secret Agent or there's another nominee that was it was just an accident. I
Yeah.
thought either one of those
Yeah,
were
but
should have won.
sentimental value had great press, and
Yeah.
more people saw it, and that was not a surprise, as disappointing as it may have been.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so our
Right.
main
Ireland.
Ireland. Let's get to Ireland. So when Rick and I first met, I think about a year ago, we talked about our mixed feelings about John Ford, and we both really love Ford's How Green Was My Valley, which is not an Irish film. It's set in Wales, but it has a bunch of Irish actors in it. And we both have real reservations about both the Quiet Man and The Searchers.
Two of his most well-known films. Yeah.
Yeah, and among other issues with those films is in How Green Is My Valley, which is from 1941, we have some very sensitive portrayals of women in that film. But one thing, and I will do a shameless plug, if anybody wants to hear more about my thoughts on John Ford, I have a book called Irish Masculinity on Screen that is still available on Amazon. Okay, that was shameless. But in Ford's later films, we see sort of a law of diminishing returns in terms of his portrayals of women. And that's certainly evident in both The Searchers and The Quiet Man, probably especially The Quiet Man, in which Maureen O'Hara plays this kind of stereotypical wild Irish woman.
Who's tamed.
Exactly. Who she needs to be tamed. She's practically
Yeah.
begging to be tamed by the strong Yank,
Yeah.
played by John Wayne, of course,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
needs to overcome his reservations about violence because he killed a man in the ring.
Yeah, it's got all those tropes, and it must be said, it's absolutely beautiful to look at.
Yes.
Great Technicolor, nothing like early 50s, late 40s Technicolor.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And but as a great quote by a journalist, Frances Mulroney, she said, the picture presents a picture of Ireland, one to which Ireland should never, ever return. That it is so full of stereotypes of drunken louts and women like Maureen O'Hara. And so anyway, we won't be talking too much about The Quiet Man.
But it has been very influential on subsequent Irish filmmakers. And we were talking about this earlier, it was shot mostly in Ireland. So people are excited about that. And still today, the cottage that's featured in the film is a popular
A big
tourist attraction.
Yeah. People make pilgrimages there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it used to be a big deal when a film was shot in Ireland, whether it was American or British, like Ryan's Daughter, which went to Dingle to do that. But today our topic really is the resurgence of the Irish film industry and the homegrown talent that did so many wonderful films starting in the 80s, I would say.
Yeah. And so one director who has certainly been influenced by John Ford in a positive way, and John Ford, of course, Irish-American, not a native Irishman, but Jim Sheridan, native Dubliner. You see the evidence of the Ford influence, particularly in My Left Foot, which we're going to talk about a little bit, and also in one of his later films called In America, in which one of the main characters actually watches a scene from The Grapes of Wrath on television, and has this, with Ma Joad, so has this kind of intercultural connection in terms of a character that's often featured in both Irish film and literature and Irish American stories, which is the strong mother, what we sometimes call the long-suffering mother. So that character pops up again and again and again. So in My Left Foot, we have a very, very prominent long-suffering mother in the character of Christy Brown's mother.
Yes, I think she won an Oscar
Yes,
that year, Brenda
she's
Fricker.
Brenda Fricker. So
Yeah.
we sometimes we pay attention to the Oscars.
Yeah.
And of course, Daniel Day-Lewis also won the Oscar for Best Actor for that film.
Yeah.
And this was Rick knew Daniel Day-Lewis before that film. I did not. So that was really my introduction to Daniel Day-Lewis, and for a lot of American viewers, this was an incredible. It is still an incredible performance.
Yeah, we should say that My Left Foot is based on a memoir. It's a true story by Christy Brown, incredible person, as we'll see in the scene. We got the four main actors in the scene that we picked to show. The parents of Christy Brown, played by Ray McAnally and Brenda Fricker, are downstairs. Meanwhile, Christy is getting tutored by Fiona Shaw, another great performance, and the parents are wondering, what's going to happen to Christy.
All right, let's take a look at
let's look at that now.
To sleep, my turn to dream. I
Is that our Christie up there?
Huh?
Does that sound like our Christie?
Sounds a lot better.
Well, to me, it doesn't.
Are you a mad woman? When she can understand your child for the first time.
I always understood him.
Oh, well, nobody else ever did. At least he can function now.
Something in that voice, it disturbs me.
What do you mean?
Too much hope in it.
What?
There's too much hope in it.
Flight orders that we know not of. Thus conscience doesn't make cowards of us all.
And thus the native hue.
And thus the native hue of resolution is sickly though with the pale cast of thought. And enterprise is our great picture in the moment. With this in regard, our currents turn awry and lose the name of action.
Well, what do you think about Hamlet, Christie?
And cripple. Contact them.
Well, he did in the end.
Too late. Eileen, I like you very much.
And I like you, Christie. You have the heart of a poet.
No. Oh, well.
What?
So that's My Left Foot, certainly the breakthrough role for Daniel Day-Lewis. And he, one of three films that he wound up doing was Jim Sheridan.
Right. So they go on to make In the Name of the Father, which was also a huge success at the box office and critically, nominated for a bunch of Oscars. And then they went on a few years later to make The Boxer, which is another film that we both love.
We both love it, and not that many people know about it.
Yeah, this was a commercial failure, a big disappointment. It had a bigger budget based on Sheridan's success, previous success. But it's a really kind of a prophetic film because it was made during the Troubles, the last couple of years of the Troubles. Comes out in 1997. The Good Friday Agreement in Ireland, which is sort of politically the end of the Troubles. There's still a lot of lingering problems, but that's not until April of 1998, the Good Friday Agreement. So,
thanks for that very timely reminder. The timeline of this film. It's a remarkable film. Daniel Day-Lewis plays somebody who is just getting out of jail, prison, and he's in there basically because he's taken the rap rather than rat on his comrades.
but he was an IRA member.
Yes.
So this is a story about regret, about trying to move forward. And what's really, I love boxing films, and so this is a really unique boxing film because it's about a boxer who uses the sport as a way to mediate violence, as an alternative to the violence of the gunmen, of paramilitaries,
Yes.
so which of course he'd been a part of. So it's a very kind of mournful film, but it's also a hopeful film. And again, it was made before the Troubles were definitively resolved. So in that way, it's a brave film. And I know it's a film that Sheridan is deeply proud of, despite it not getting a great reception.
Yeah, in the scene that we've picked, it's early in the film, and he is evidently, before his prison sentence, has had a romantic relationship with the woman played by Emily Watson. But in the interim, she has gotten married to another IRA guy who is still in prison.
And it was Danny, the Daniel Day-Lewis character's good friend. So
Yeah.
it's all very
there's
complicated.
a lot of what you should do, what you shouldn't do, what you're afraid of doing. So they're dancing around each other in the first time they've seen each other in many years.
All right, so let's take a look at this clip from The Boxer from 1997.
What's going on, Danny?
What do you mean?
I haven't seen you in 14 years. And now you're right next door to me every day. And when I do see you, all I get from you is the odd grunt. Do you not think that's strange?
Hey, it is strange.
Oh, forget it, Danny.
So this is a beautiful Daniel Day-Lewis performance because it's much more low-key than something like My Left Foot or In the Name of the Father, in which he plays these characters who are explosive at times.
Yes.
Here he's so restrained, and so if you want to see the range of Day-Lewis, I think this is a great film for you.
Yes, and he just expresses so much without words. It's very powerful.
Yeah, it also has beautiful cinematography from Chris Menges, who did The Killing Fields, among other things.
yeah.
All these kind of beautiful muted blues and grays in the film.
Yes, in a very not particularly beautiful Belfast.
Yeah, yeah. I think because the Troubles are still going on, the film was mostly shot in Dublin, so they used
Yeah,
parts of Dublin
yeah.
to resemble Belfast.
Well, let's go back a number of decades. We're talking about the Troubles, and a really strong film that's about the early days of the Irish independence movement is from the British director Ken Loach, whose heart is really with the Irish, as British as he may be. So the movie is called The Wind That Shakes the Barley, and Cillian Murphy has the lead, and it might have been the first time I ever saw him, or at least noted him. He is remarkable in this film. He and his brother are people who are drawn into the cause, almost in spite of themselves, wouldn't you say?
Well, especially the Cillian Murphy character, whose name is Damien, I believe, and he wants to be a doctor. So actually, I finally caught up to a film that I had been meaning to see for a long time, from a different cultural standpoint, called The Motorcycle Diaries. And there's a scene toward the end of The Wind That Shakes the Barley. So in the Damien character, the Cillian Murphy character is a doctor. He's trained to be a doctor. And so he goes to see this starving child, to care for this starving child. And there's a very similar scene from Motorcycle Diaries, which was made a couple years before, in which young
Che Guevara.
Che Guevara goes to minister. He's training to be a doctor, and he goes to care for this dying woman. It's very poor. And so you see in both films, you see the flash of this beautiful kind of flash of what the alternative path for this person could have been. What if Guevara had gone on to be a doctor and heal people, but he was pushed in a different direction. Same thing in Wind Shakes the Barley. This young man who's really trying to stay out at the beginning gets drawn into this conflict. And because Cillian Murphy is such a sensitive actor, you see how he's sort of losing his humanity as he is committing these brutal acts in the process of prosecuting this war.
Yes, and like Daniel Day-Lewis, we can read so much on his face as he witnesses events like this scene that we're going to watch. Wind That Shakes the Barley, directed by Ken Loach and written by his longtime writing companion, Paul Laverty.
It's not as easy as it looks. Shot 10 now. Yeah, 22-16.
Listen in. 5 minutes, lads, and you're off the table. Right, lads, get on this side of the table now. Move! Come on, move your arse. Get in line now. Eyes down, arms up. Move! Come on. You're all thoroughly a sack of shite, the lot of you. You cretinous crab, you piece of shit. Look at you. Arms up. Sit down. Don't eyeball me. Keep them up. Hey, we done here, lads? £1 a day, lads. £1 a day. That's what they're paying them bastards.
Is that right?
Yeah. Our pounds, our pockets to pay for that swagger. And picked him out of one by a personal friend of that bollocks.
Churchill. Oh, God. So we can expect what the Boers got, can we?
What about he saying, yeah? Friend of the worker.
You're certainly no oil painting, that's for sure.
Come on, take him, go! Go, go, go! Fucking move.
No one here. There's no name.
Where's the name?
There's no one here.
Stay still.
Get your leg. Get your hand. Look at it.
Stop your leg. Get out.
Stay there.
You don't stop fucking around. We'll take you out.
So this film, I'll reference this again later, but in the fall of 2023, the Irish Independent newspaper put together this really impressive group of panelists led by a great scholar named Ruth Barton, who I know you know as well as I do. So the Wind That Shakes the Barley ranked near the top of this list of 30 best Irish films from the Irish Independent. It was number 5. My Left Foot was number 6. And we're going to talk in a few minutes about a couple other films that made the list. So, but before we do that, we want to tell you about, or discuss a little bit, a documentary, a beautiful documentary called 1 Million Dubliners. So this is from 2014, and this is a film that I happened to catch at the Boston Irish Film Festival a while back. And the director was there, and she provided some beautiful context. But this is a film about Glasnevin Cemetery in Dublin, and it sort of captures a number of really interesting figures who work there, including the resident historian whose name is Shane McTomash, who's this wonderful storyteller, and he says something really powerful. He says, when I give a tour or when I talk to groups about the cemetery, I tell them something they know, I tell them something they don't know. I try to make them laugh, and I try to make them cry, which is some pretty good rules for storytelling. And another really compelling figure that I found in the film is this crematorium technician who we're going to see in this clip, whose name is John Campbell, and he's talking about his thoughts on death and how his job at the cemetery has affected him.
Yes, and as we see him going about his work.
Here's a clip from 1 Million Dubliners.
5 years ago, 1978 actually, and came in here first as a gravedigger. And in 1982 or so, a job went on the board, as he used to say, and we all put our names forward, and I was the lucky one to get the job at the time. I was the first person to be trained in the Republic of Ireland as a crematorium technician. People were Jewish about it in the beginning, were sort of fearful of that, like it was against their religion, and they probably wouldn't go to heaven, or it was a sort of a pagan thing to get done to them, the way cremate the body, and what happens to you on the last day? But the body's supposed to rise on the last day. How could the body rise on the last time you're cremated? Well, you could ask the same questions when you're buried in the ground. It just speeds up the process. Take an hour and a half to cremate remains. What it takes to do in an hour and a half in the machine there, it could take months, maybe years to do on the ground. We'll head up to the church here for the actual services. Some people arrive and they could have music. You could actually arrive with a band. We've several people just arrived, just landed with a band, no advance warning, in the middle of maybe 5 or 6 of the cremation services. And again, they're confined to maybe 20 minutes to a half an hour service, and it's trying to fit them in and try to let them have the service that they want. It's the problem, because people obviously don't realise that they're not the only cremation of the day. This is one of the popular pieces of music. You'll recognise it when you hear it, I'm sure. It's a nice soft piece of music that we sometimes play as the families are coming into the crematorium chapel here. The older generation, we still get people coming in asking for Somewhere Over the Rainbow, Judy Garland, and My Way is another popular one. The time we were going through a phase here of time to say goodbye, you were hearing it so many times in the one day, you were getting browned out, isn't it? Well, There you go. Seen a lot over the years, a lot of sadness. In some cases, there was a lot of happy occasions. People are happy at the person's passing, they're released, they've been in a lot of pain over the years or something like that. And it also can be very sad as well. A lot of young people, on tragic cases. And, some people say, how do you do the job? But I myself, over the years, you kind of block it out in a sense. You come in, do what you have to do, and you go home and forget what's happened during the day. Try to forget what happened during the day. It's actually hardened me towards death, really. seeing all ages, right from babies to people that are maybe in their 100 years of age, like, you know, right up, right across the board. All religions, doesn't matter who you are or what you are, death is going to come to us all, no matter what. Is there life after death? My belief, no. You're reduced to ash, dust. People say it's the soul that goes to heaven and all that. Whatever you want to believe, I don't think there's anything after it. We're like a flower. We come up, we flourish, and we die off. Another seed is sowed for another new plant to come up. That's the end of story.
So that's a good example, and so this leads us into a discussion of a key figure in Irish cinema, but it's a good example of 21st century Ireland, the culture kind of moving away from the dominance of the Catholic Church. And so this kind of stereotypical notion that some people might still have about Ireland, that it's this very devout country. In the 21st century, that has really changed. It's become much more secularized. So we see that with Mr. Campbell talking about his thoughts on death being the end. And we're going to see that also in a clip we're going to show in a minute from Six Shooter by a quite brilliant playwright and filmmaker who's Anglo-Irish, grew up in London, but spends a lot of time in Western Ireland, Mr. Martin McDonagh.
Yes, and I first became aware of Martin McDonagh as a playwright. Movies were his second thing that he went on to. I started noticing these plays that got fantastic reviews when they were brought from Ireland and London to Broadway. And then he started making some really quirky movies. Some of the titles are The Guard with Brendan Gleeson, In Bruges, also with Brendan Gleeson, Calvary, I don't want to say Cavalry, with Gleeson, and this short we're going to see also with Brendan Gleeson.
Yep, and so this is from 2004. This won an Oscar for Best Live Action Short Film. So and this was McDonagh's first film effort. So as Rick said, his plays were, when he wrote a bunch of plays, then several of them were produced in 1 year, in '96, I believe. So his career as a playwright, once it began, it took off immediately. And you could say the same thing about his film career, because his first film effort wins an Oscar, not too shabby, and initiates his relationship with Brendan Gleeson. And you'll also, if you see this film, it's widely available. You can watch it on YouTube. But also Brendan Gleeson's son, Donald Gleeson, who goes on to become quite a successful actor. You see him as a teenager, basically, later in this film. But the clip we're going to see, this is the beginning of the film, and you see the Brendan Gleeson character reacting to the passing of his wife. And this clip really captures Donagh's amazing ability to balance very grim subject matter, oftentimes violent subject matter, not in this case, but there's a reference to it, but balancing grim content with humor.
The humor is always there, lurking. It may lurk low under the surface, but it's there.
And I would say Irish cinema in general is very good at this, but no one is better at it than McDonagh. So let's take a look at this clip from the opening of Six Shooter.
But your wife passed away at 3 o'clock this morning. Would you like to see her?
Oh, yes, please. Thank you.
I'd like to stay with you longer, Mr. Donnelly. but we're awful busy.
You run off your feet, yeah.
2 cot deaths and a woman. Her son shot the poor head off her.
No. Is she alive or is she dead?
Oh, dead. She had no head left on her leg. I'll leave you to it.
Don't know what to say to you, babe. Don't know what to say. I brought you the photo of David. Don't know what to say. I don't know where you are now.
So McDonagh and Gleeson go on to make other films together, including another one we're going to take a quick look at, which is The Banshees of Inisherin, which was McDonagh's latest film from 2022.
Yeah, we might say that that's been his most successful, widely seen so far, because it got several Oscar nominations.
Yeah, I think it got 7 at least, including for, so Colin Farrell, another one of his great collaborators. They made, both Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell are in Bruges, McDonagh's first feature, and then Colin Farrell's in McDonagh's second film, which is not as strong, which is called Seven Psychopaths. It's very interesting kind of satire of Hollywood, but it kind of revels in violence in a way that I think McDonagh, this film, The Banshees of Inisherin, is what we might call mature McDonagh, which is, and so is 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I think it's more. He's working in a more mature vein, I would say.
So this film is set in the past. It was filmed on Anchill Island in County Mayo. And we're going to see kind of a key scene from the film. There's a long-standing friendship. And here it is, Brendan Gleeson and explaining to Colin Farrell some new rules. So let's take a look at that from Banshees of Inisherin.
What are you doing?
Oh, so you're going to be in Egypt again today, is it?
I'm allowed to have a quiet pint on my own, Porrick.
Well, don't ask a man to call up to you at your feckin' house, so like he has nothing better to do with his feckin' time.
I didn't ask you to call up to me at my house. And you do have nothing better to do with your feckin' time.
Huh?
You do have nothing better to do with your feckin' time.
I know I've nothing better to do with me feckin' time, but there's better things I could be doing with me feckin' time than to be calling up to you at your house, Con Doherty.
Like what?
Huh?
Like what else could you be doing?
Reading.
Reading, yeah? Me, this morning. This I wrote. Tomorrow, I'll write the second part of it. And the day after, I'll write the third part of it. And by Wednesday, there'll be a new tune in the world, which wouldn't have been there if I'd spent a week listening to your bollocks Porrick solo on. So do you want to take your pint outside, or do you want me to take my pint outside?
I'll take my pint outside because it's a shite tune anyways. I wouldn't bother with it.
I was too harsh yesterday.
Yesterday, he says. I know well you was too harsh yesterday. And today.
I just have this tremendous sense of time slipping away in me, Pádraig. And I think I need to spend the time I've left thinking and composing and just trying not to listen to any more of the dull things that you have to say for yourself. But I'm sorry about it. I am like.
Are you dying?
No, I'm not dying.
But then you've loads of time.
For chatting.
Aye.
For aimless chatting.
Not for aimless chatting, for good, normal chatting.
So, we'll keep aimlessly chatting, and my life will keep dwindling, and in 12 years I'll die with nothing to show for it. Bar the chats I've had with a limited man, is that it?
I said not aimless chatting. I said good, normal chatting.
The other night, 2 hours you spent talking to me about the things you found in your little donkey shite that day. 2 hours, Pádraig. I timed it.
Well, it wasn't me little donkey's shite, was it? It was me pony's shite, which shows how much you were listening.
None of it helps me, do you understand? None of it helps me.
We'll just chat about something else then.
So interesting fact about Brendan Gleeson in this performance, Brendan Gleeson is a fiddler. So he talks about the one reason he wants to end this friendship is he wants to focus on his work, his music. And so Brendan Gleeson is a real fiddler, and he wrote the tunes for the film
that's
that he
great.
plays
I
in the
didn't
film.
know that.
Yeah, what a talented guy. So McDonagh's next film, he often takes a few years between films, but his next film is going to come out this fall, and it looks. I just saw it's called Wild Horse 9, and I just saw the trailer last night, and I would say it's very much in the vein of In Bruges. It's like these two CIA guys who have a lot of witty banter between them. So we'll see if that kind of if McDonagh goes back, if it's kind of reverting to the more buddy elements of his earlier stuff, or if it continues in that more mature vein.
Yeah, I caught a quote about McDonagh from the Irish journalist Fintan O'Toole, who said, "The combination of pastiche of rural Ireland forms and a displaced urban sensibility gives his work a dark, violent, and often funny edge." Well said.
Yeah. So most of McDonagh's films don't take place in Ireland, but Six Shooter and The Banshees of Inisherin, along with a bunch of his plays. So he wrote a trilogy of plays that are set in Lannan in Galway, where McDonagh has spent a lot of time. The first one is called The Beauty Queen of Lannan. And I had the great good fortune of seeing, not the original production from the late 90s, but the actor who plays, it's mostly focuses on a mother and a daughter who have this incredibly tempestuous, ambivalent relationship. But the daughter from the original production, Marie Mullen, 20 years later, she played the mother. And I saw that touring production, I saw it in Boston. Marie Mullen, an incredible Irish actor of the stage and screen, but no more for her stage work.
Wonderful.
So McDonagh can write amazing roles for women, as he did in his first play, The Beauty Queen of Lannan, and as we see in The Banshees of Inisherin, because Kerry Condon, another wonderful Irish actor, plays the sister, Colin Farrell's sister, in a great performance, also Oscar nominated. So,
great. What is on our next on our list?
Our last, but I think we tried to save the best for last, because we're going to talk about a film based on the work of a wonderful writer, Claire Keegan. So this is her most recent work, Small Things Like These. This is a collection of short stories from earlier in her career called Walk the Blue Fields. So I would say, according to Irish Independent, this is the best Irish film of all time, and probably one of the best film adaptations of literature that I can think of, and it's The Quiet Girl.
Yes, and not only that, but it is the dialogue is in Irish Gaelic.
Yeah,
So-
and there's a very practical reason because Keegan's work is in English, and so the Quiet Girl is based on a long short story of Keegan's called Foster,
Yeah.
which was published in the New Yorker, and in English. But the filmmaker Colm Boraid, he was hoping to secure a grant. So there's a lot of state support in Ireland for art that is in Gaelic, is in what they call Irish. So he made The Quiet Girl in Irish, the Irish language, for the very practical reason that he could secure funding. But it's one of the brilliant aspects of the film.
It is. And it is shot in old boxy format. It makes it look old-fashioned. The movie is set in the early 70s. It never comes right out and says when it is taking place, but we can get the hints from the cars, the TV, what's on the
Clothes.
TV. And I think it is another example of that sort of rule of thumb that the best movies are made from short stories rather than novels.
Yeah, that's what Alfred Hitchcock said.
Yeah, that in a short story you can augment, you can expand, and in a novel you're having to cut.
Yeah.
And these performances in this film are just, they're stellar.
Yeah, and so again, the choice to make an Irish language film also was a benefit to the casting because they were constrained by the fact that they had to choose actors who were fluent in Irish. So they found this amazing young actor who plays Kat, the quiet girl in the film, who is an Irish speaker. So they couldn't bring in this stable of polished child actors. They
Yeah.
brought somebody who was very unpolished in a way, but very believable as this kind of withdrawn character who has this very kind of difficult life, a domestic life that she's enduring, and a really amazing element of this film that kind of unites it with the work of Sheridan. Sheridan has made a number of films about good father figures, and he's talked about that, particularly in The Name of the Father, but also The Boxer has these positive father figures. And Sheridan talks about how the colonization process, which impacted Ireland earlier and has impacted Northern Ireland even to the end of the 20th century and still does in some ways, Sheridan says that kind of delegitimizes the father in families. And so he's tried to shift the focus. And you can think about all the kind of dissolute, drunken fathers in Irish stories. So Sheridan tried to shift the focus to positive father figures. So this film does the same thing. So we balance kind of that stereotype of the unreliable, lazy, drunken Irish father, who's Kat's biological father, who, by the way, of course, is the only main character who doesn't speak Irish.
Yes.
So that the film shows a couple moments of humanity for this character, but he's pretty bad. He's a bad Irish father. But that's balanced against the foster father, who is this very scarred but ultimately warm and compassionate father figure. So we have a good mother and a good father in this story.
And one of the wonderful ways in this film unfolds is that we get to know that father as a truly wonderful, good-hearted person. The scene we're going to watch is Kate's arrival at her new foster family for the summer, and the mother who greets her. Once again, just the loveliest of films. Let's watch that clip now.
It's fair hotman. 3 hours in a car is no joke, like.
sunshine these past weeks. Priest had us praying for rain this morning. What the good to do.
Wel, ich an galinsa. Sias amach, go dáir mé splecha ceartart. An Tom derig a bacchus tosad. Bhí sa fram, an lis go é sin.
Tá fram bhrist.
Oh, cad a hála go na char.
Dus ó dodrih cé mar bharatha agus héit cean na rahí.
Carsteach, nanaf.
So this is our introduction to the foster mother figure and the foster father figure, and then we see the biological father who is overburdened, it must be said. They have umpteen children at home, which is kind of similar to the story of Christy Brown and My Left Foot. He has over a dozen siblings. But in this film builds to what I can only call one of the most shattering endings that I know of in a film. If I can't think of a film that has a better, more powerful, emotionally resonant ending than this.
True to the book, it must be said.
Absolutely.
And the same thing with the wonderful movie made out of her novella, Small Things Like These, with Cillian Murphy.
Yes.
Again, ending on a very ambiguous, we want to know what happens next.
Yeah, a state of penultimacy, as we might say. So yeah,
Well,
these are amazing stories. I think something that, I don't know about you, Rick, but something that draws me to these Irish stories, I think, is this, that there's great repression in these stories, but then this incredible catharsis, this incredible release of emotions, which works so well in cinema.
Yes, and Colin Berriad, who directed Quiet Girl, said, another stereotype is the Irish have the gift of gab. And says the truth is they keep a lot in. So he wanted to really break free of that stereotype. Well, we're almost out of time, and so many films we could have mentioned. We didn't have time for another wonderful recent Irish film called That They May Face the Rising Sun, Morning Sun, sorry, based on a novel by John McGahern. So this explosion of talent in Ireland, they're getting finally to tell their own stories after so many years of just being used for stereotypes in other countries.
And they're not all Troubles films anymore.
Yeah, that's
either,
right.
Because we've moved away from that. Another bunch of Troubles films we didn't talk about are Hunger, Bloody Sunday, Oma, all great films as well.
It could be another whole session.
Right. Well, thank you, Rick, and we hope you'll join us again at some point in the near future for another edition of Talking About Movies.
Thank you, Joe.